Hello, folks, and welcome to the breaking news version here of the Political Matrix News. This is February. Actually, no, today's March 1st, the day after the demise of Iran. And we're joined today with Mike Bates. How you doing, Mike?
I am doing well, thanks. Time marches on, doesn't it?
It does. It's been 40, 50 years overdue here for what happened yesterday, though.
Well, I wouldn't refer to that. I was just referring to you thinking it's still February. But hey, in your
It
defense,
does.
February
It's a
did
short
only have
month.
28 days exactly.
Exactly.
So I understand.
Still not at the end of the 30-day month here, but according to all the people going up to the to see the virgins in the sky and in the Muslim community here in Iran, who are defending the tyranny of the Ayatollah. Goodbye, guys. It is way overdue.
Well, I, for one, am very pleased to see the war occur. Okay. However, I'm also concerned. And I'll say what I'm concerned about. You know, I always speak my mind and understand I am not Mr. MAGA, right? I did vote for President Trump 3 times, but that doesn't mean I'm MAGA. It meant
exactly
that Hillary,
we're pro-America,
Biden, and Kamala were worse options.
They were.
So I'm not MAGA, but I am in favor of this conflict for political reasons that benefit the entire United States, hopefully. That is this. Donald Trump did not start this war.
No, we did
This war started in 1979. And this is our opportunity to end it.
Exactly.
Every single president, from Jimmy Carter to Donald Trump, has kicked this can down the road and has refused to deal with the problem of the Islamic theocratic state of Iran. Donald Trump has finally done something about it.
Exactly.
And I support it if and only if, and this is a huge if Donald Trump is committed to seeing this through all the way to regime change, I support it.
Right.
If he's going to back out anything shy of regime change, then he never should have gone in the first place. Now, what's he going to do? Beats the hell out of me. The man's unpredictable.
No.
And what he says he's going to do is also somewhat irrelevant. I don't know what he's going to do. But this is a long overdue campaign to get rid of these mad mullahs who have ruled Iran for 47 years. And if he can accomplish it, it will be the greatest foreign policy victory for the United States this millennium. Now, if he fails, it's going to be the biggest foreign policy blunder of the millennium, which, considering some of the other foreign policy blunders we've had, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's way too early to say. I'm supportive of us going in. I think it's the right thing, but only if the goal is regime change and we don't stop until we've accomplished that goal.
I think the entire methodology of how the intelligence and the research that they used to do this invasion and to continue on with the finishing, I guess we're still bombing today. The obliteration of the Iranian government is unheard of and wonderful. It's very similar to the watch bombs that Israel did a few years ago to all the Hezbollah, Hamas terrorist leaders.
Yeah, with the pagers.
And, with the pagers, sorry. And so, it is very brilliant and very measured. And so this was not a haphazard, legacy-driven attack. This was something that was very well planned, very well organized, and basically he didn't tip his hat at the State of the Union. He hasn't tipped his hat any. And a lot of the people in Congress were saying, how come we didn't know? The reality here is that compared to like 30 or 40 years ago, if you told Congress something is secret, they might actually keep a secret. Maybe. In 2026, if you tell Congress something in confidence or in confidentiality, there's no way in hell they're going to keep it quiet. There's no way in heck the people in the Democrat side or even Republicans who are against this war would tell somebody who would tell somebody, and the entire idea of it being a surprise and being organized would be blown out the window, and American lives would be at risk. The entire process would be at risk. This is, in the age of, social media and ears everywhere and eyes everywhere on your devices and your phones, there's no secure way of actually making sure you can actually brief Congress and they will keep their mouths shut. Their entire idea is opposite day with Trump. If Trump would give them part the sea, they would say that was wrong. If he gave them gold, they would want titanium. If he gave them diamonds, they would want something different. They want everything to be the opposite of whatever he does, period. And that being said, if he were going to give them peace, they would try to create more war. And so, no, he should not be telling. I mean, it goes back to what Scott and I have been talking about, the whole idea of them sending the National Guard into different states and them and Pam Bondi doing stuff that state attorney general should do. If the states were actually doing their job, they wouldn't have to be sending ICE agents here. The attorney generals were doing their job and enforcing the laws. There wouldn't be sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. If the Congress was doing their job, we wouldn't have to have all these tariffs and everything out of control. If the people would actually put America first, the president wouldn't have to be doing all this stuff on his own in a quote unquote rogue fashion. It's not rogue. He just is finally putting America first. And like you said, though, if he doesn't see it through and if he just has a half-assed approach to this and does nothing but just kill a few people and doesn't follow it through, then he never should have done it. But regime change is the only thing that the last 5 presidents should have done. And hopefully this will work.
Right. So let's talk about the need for secrecy and surprise and them not telling Congress. As you said, Congress absolutely, especially those on the Democrat side of the aisle, it would have leaked and we would have lost the element of surprise. But everything I've read is that we were somewhat surprised with our timing as well, that it was not actually intended to begin at the time that it did. The plan was to do nighttime bombings, and Iran, understandably, was expecting nighttime bombings because that's when we are able to do it somewhat invisibly,
right,
with our technology. However, the CIA and the Mossad realized that the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, was going to be meeting with his Security Council, with the Supreme Security Council in Tehran. And that was new news. And they were having this meeting. We're like, well, no better time than now. And so we bombed it and killed at least 40 people, all of them senior leadership, including the Supreme Commander of the IRGC as well, which is critical because the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Council has to be wiped out right now because they are the defenders of the revolution. They are not the same as the Iranian army. That is a completely different unit. You've got the Iranian army and you've got the IRGC. The IRGC are fanatics and their goal is to protect the revolution. The Iranian army's goal is to protect the country. They have 2 completely different missions. The IRGC is the lunatics, the super hardcore people. And then the Iranian army, well, that's going to be a mixture of all kinds of people, right?
It could be, yeah.
And so that element of surprise needed to be there anyway.
It had to be there.
But with this meeting, they expected us to know, and I'm really impressed that the CIA and Mossad did know. But when we knew, when we dropped those multiple bombs on that building, killed 40 plus, and we're continuing to bomb right now. We absolutely need to continue doing it. We do not need American boots on the ground.
No, we do
now, I'm
not.
not saying we don't have covert forces. We probably do. I mean, and there's reasons you need them on the ground, and the covert forces, fine. I hope they are there because they help, airstrikes. But we do not need American boots on the ground. The boots on the ground that need to be there to overthrow this Islamic regime are the Iranian people themselves. They need to rise up and do it. Now, we need to support that.
Oh, yeah,
and
we
hopefully
definitely do.
We are able to support that with communication, with intel, with weaponry, but it can't be American forces on the ground that do it. The Iranian people have been given this opportunity, and quite honestly, Donald Trump should have bombed them this past January, when they did have those massive protests in the streets. And somewhere between 6,000 and 40,000, depending on whose number you believe, Iranians were killed for the crime of protesting. We should have done it then. All right, we didn't. And I don't know why we didn't. Whatever. I'm sure there was some intel.
Some security
our assets
reasons,
weren't in place. Whatever it was, we didn't do it. We are where we are.
It wasn't as perfect as this situation now.
What we did was absolutely necessary. And those Democrats and their allies in the propaganda press who are criticizing it, all I've been seeing all damn day, ever since this happened, and understand, I spend most of my time watching MS Now. That is not because I like them. I can't stand them, okay? They're the biggest liars in media. But I like to know what the enemy is up to. So that's why I watch MS Now. And so all I've been seeing are these Democrat after Democrat after Democrat. John Brennan, former CIA director, was just on and saying that this was an illegal war, that Donald Trump had no lawful authority to do that, which is complete nonsense. He absolutely had the authority.
And every authority.
Say that again?
He had every authority.
He had every authority, but let me explain where that authority came from, okay? Because they're saying Congress didn't authorize this. No, actually, Congress did authorize this. In 2001, the 107th Congress passed the authorization of military force, okay? Now, that was in response to the attack of 9/11. We being the Congress, authorized the president to go after the people who perpetrated it and to prevent future terrorist attacks.
Exactly.
Then in 2002, there was a similar piece of legislation that was also passed by the 107th Congress that authorized military force against Iraq. Now, Iran is not Iraq. However, President Obama, when he wanted to bomb ISIS and when he wanted to bomb Libya, both of which were done without congressional approval specific for those operations, he pointed to those two authorizations for use of military force, one from 2001, another from 2002. Both of those resolutions remain in effect. Congress, the current Congress, may not have given him a thumbs up, but the 107th Congress did. And that law is still on the books. Then we have the War Powers Act of 1973. And the War Powers Act says that the president can commit U.S. troops provided he informed Congress within 48 hours. And then Congress can vote of whether or not to continue funding it. And if they don't, he has to remove them in 60 days. Now, there's an automatic 30-day extension, so it's really 90 days. But he's got 90 days that he can act without congressional approval. Well, here's the problem there. The War Powers Act is most likely unconstitutional. And it is mostly unconstitutional not on the granting of the authority to commit U.S. troops to conflict, but rather on Congress's ability to withdraw funding from it
Exactly.
within that 60-day window. Now, it's never been tested in court, so we really don't know. But as a practical matter, even if Congress does come back this week, and I expect they will, and they'll hold a
Right.
vote, I don't expect it to pass, but let's
No,
just
I don't
say it
think so
does.
either.
But let's just say it does, okay? I mean, you got to continue, consider all contingencies. Let's just say that it does. The president simply vetoes it, and unless there's a two-thirds majority in both houses to override that veto,
It won't be.
it's not worth the paper it's written on anyway.
It's not.
So this is a war that Donald Trump, never mind his Article 2 powers of just being the executive, okay? He can do
Exactly, yeah.
that too.
You can.
But this is something that Donald Trump has the lawful authority to do. And what bothers me about all these Democrats and these liars in the press is that they're telling people, as if it's the nectar of the gods gospel truth, that Donald Trump can't do this. And these leftist malcontents, these idiotic lemmings who have no concept of what they are to think until their leftist overlords spoon feed it
Right.
to them, they hear on the news Hakeem Jeffries saying, oh, the president doesn't have the authority. And because they're Democrats, say Hakeem Jeffries says they don't have authority, he must not have the authority. And they never dig deep enough to know that, in fact, he does.
He
Now, I wrote
does.
about it in my blog, and I linked to things. I explained, you want to go to themyfakeshow.com. It's all over the place over there. And you can cite it, copy it, send the link around. Share it with the world that's telling you, oh, you don't know lawful authority. Like Kelly doesn't have lawful authority. I laid it out, the four authorities that he does have.
He
But the
does.
typical American has no clue about any of that. And frankly, even a lot of MAGA people don't know that. This is fracturing MAGA. Now, I can't
It
stand
is.
Tucker Carlson, okay? And I was not a Tucker Carlson fan even before he became an anti Semitic lunatic, right? But he is saying that this is an illegal war. And he is just completely fractured. And the Tucker
He's wrong.
Carlson fans are breaking away from MAGA based on that lie, among others. And so this is a very tenuous time for President Trump. This is, as I said a while ago, either going to be the greatest success of his presidency and the greatest foreign policy success of the millennium so far, or it is going to destroy him and the Republican Party. And it's too soon to know which it's going to be.
Well, right now, I mean, I think anybody who says that this is he not have the authority needs to realize that, first of all, we're talking about an Iranian state that sponsors terrorism. Okay, we've had the authority to defeat terrorism and to go after them as a war act since, like you said, 1979, since this whole thing started. I mean, they have done numerous acts against American interests, against America, against American people. And basically, I mean, people need to start connecting the dots here between Venezuela and Iran and North Korea and Russia, and start realizing that this is just another domino in the next line of several dominoes to fall in the way of keeping America safe. I mean, it's not just a fentanyl. It's not just, terrorism. It's not just this or that. It's a combination, a collaboration of all of it. And all these lemmings and all these idiots just want to be so short-sighted to think he's like violating his rules of engagement, or he's just doing this for his legacy. Well, you know what? I don't really give a damn why he's doing it. I don't even think he needs a reason to do it. He's going after people who are doing mass terror and mass killing and mass funding of terror and killing. And that is good, period.
But it does go deeper than that, Greg. It goes a lot deeper.
It goes much deeper. It goes a lot deeper than
President Trump did his little 8-minute thing the other night, and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't care who does it.
I don't think, I've said this for years, I don't think Donald Trump is very articulate. Okay.
No.
Now, I realize he's won 3 elections stolen from him in 2020, but he's won 3 elections. So, I mean, he has the ability to communicate, but he's not articulate.
Right.
He doesn't communicate very well.
He has a lot of adjectives.
His 8 minutes left out a lot. The reasons that we are in Iran are not just to get rid of the nuclear weapons program or the ballistic missiles program or regime change. Those 3 things are important, but it goes a lot deeper than that. If we can replace the theocratic, lunatic Islamic theocratic government of Iran and replace it with a secular pro-Western government, that will cut off funding to Hezbollah. It will cut off funding to Hamas. It will cut off funding to the Houthi rebels in Yemen. You will have an opportunity for peace in the region. But it's even more than that, Greg. And that is this. Right now, China is buying, well, I say right now, before 2 days ago, China was buying 80% of Iran's oil because there's embargoes everywhere else. So China was buying it. They were buying it cheap. If we can turn Iran into a pro-Western democracy that's secular in nature, we will deny China their cheap oil they've been getting. And there's another great benefit as well. This has the potential. In fact, I think it already, I say potential, hopefully it'll really be nice, but even in the intermediate term, it already, I believe, is going to help Ukraine because the Russians have been buying a bunch of drones from Iran that now Iran needs for themselves. And so we are denying China cheap oil. We're denying Russia cheap drones. And so we're helping Ukraine. We're helping anybody that is allied against China, which is pretty much the entire world. Okay, other than what? The North Koreans and the Russians. All of our allies benefit, which brings up another question. What the hell is wrong with the pussies in the European Union?
Exactly.
They are all still opposing this. What the hell? They're going to benefit, quite honestly, more than we are.
They're scared that something's going to happen, some sort of car bomb or comfort bomb or something.
Their oil from the Persian Gulf than the United States does. But where the hell are the Europeans on this?
Well, it seems that, people don't realize the whole Venezuela thing. We kept on talking about the Venezuela oil that was going to Iran and the embargo. And people are missing the connection here that Venezuela had to Iran and funding Iran. Then you have the Venezuela to China thing, and then China to Iran. guys, it's a big, big loop. And what we're doing, we're taking one country at a time. We started out with Venezuela. Now we're doing Iran. Now next is probably going to be, I actually wish we would pick on China, but we're not going to. We're probably going to be North Korea. It's probably going to be next, most likely. Who knows? But
we're not military. We are not militarily going after China or North Korea, and I don't think we're going to militarily go after Cuba either. But I do think we could bring about their downfall. Not with the military. We're not going to go militarily after China. We're not going to go militarily.
We're not. Yeah, we're going to touch China at all.
It's not going to happen. North Korea is not going to happen either.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think we're going to support the North Korean rebels?
Let me tell you why. It's not just because they have nukes. The fact that they have nukes, obviously that matters. The reason we're not going to go after North Korea is because North Korea has thousands, tens of thousands of mortars that can reach Seoul in a matter of minutes.
True, yeah.
And so if we attack North Korea and they launch these, and they'll launch them far faster than we can destroy them, then all of a sudden Seoul, maybe not reduced to rubble, but you'd have thousands, tens of thousands of casualties in Seoul. We are not going after North Korea militarily.
But what we do need to do is we need to go ahead and size up Iran. Exactly. Size up Iran and get them, get the regime change going. Because, the entire faction that the evil culture they've had has affected the stability of the entire region for decades.
Right. And the fact that Iran has retaliated against Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates,
In a very weird way.
Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, they've attacked all of these members of the Gulf Cooperation
Allies.
Council. And they're going to, they've always been opposed to Iran, but now they have more reason to be opposed to Iran.
Exactly.
What was the thought process behind bombing those countries? I have no idea other than, oh, well, let's go back in America, maybe hitting American bases. But those nations in the Gulf, they're not going to sit around and take that. And
No,
so there's the potential that they will enter this war. And let me tell you why I think they should. We don't need GCC air power. We don't need Saudi Arabian air power. But if we do need actual military boots on the ground, doesn't need to be the 82nd Airborne, does it? It can be some expeditionary forces from these Muslim nations among the Gulf Cooperation Council, and get
what's
those
ironic
nations
here
to commit their troops to be the ground forces.
And what's ironic is what you said before about the Europeans being wimps on this whole thing. We have Muslims supporting us to attack a Muslim nation, and the Europeans who are not Muslim being scared of us attacking a Muslim nation.
Wait a minute. Europeans aren't Muslim? Have you not seen the demographics?
Well, I might be wrong there.
Yeah, no, it's not a majority yet, but it will be. It will be in our lifetimes.
It probably will be.
Europe
the
has
whole point
imported.
The whole point is everybody always said that, that all the Democrats are telling me that we're alienating the other Islamic nations and the other Arab nations, the other Middle Eastern nations.
They love what we're doing.
And that's why I tell them, I said, they like what we're doing. They think this is a good thing. I mean, yeah, usually they don't side with the state of Israel. That's very true. But in this situation, I think they are.
Hey, let me tell you something else. So let's bring Israel into this conversation. Now, this is, well, of course they are, but I'm looking ahead. If we are able to create a secular pro-Western government in Iran, there is, I believe, a very good chance that the Abraham Accords will come to full fruition, where the Saudis will establish full diplomatic relations with Israel. And when that happens, so will all these other Muslim nations. There actually is the opportunity, and I don't think this is Pollyanna or overly optimistic. I mean, it's no guarantee, of course, but there is a very good likelihood, if there is a secular pro-Western government in Iran, that the entire Muslim world will sign peace agreements with Israel, and we actually could still have peace in the Middle East. Now, there will always be anti-Semitism. The Islamic faith still says you got to kill the infidels, so you're still going to have people that don't like Israel. But there is the potential for real peace at the end of this war, but only if Donald Trump sees it all the way through to regime change and replacement with a secular pro-Western government.
Yeah, because the big catch here is a regime change on who's going to take over. Now, there's a lot of other bad actors out there, probably far worse than the Ayatollah, that could take over. However, there's also a lot of actors out there that are not. And those are the ones that need to be brought up to the top of the level.
Well, and I'm not sure we can impose that leader. Now, the son of the former Shah, he's volunteered himself to go and be an interim leader, and whatever. If that works, that's great. But I don't think he needs to be the permanent solution. We don't need a monarchy in Iran. But if we need a temporary monarch, kind of a placeholder, whatever. But that's not up to the United States to decide. The people of Iran need to decide that. And the key there is that it can't be done by the IRGC. They have got to be eliminated.
Yeah, but how does Iran media work? Because right now, I mean, if the government still controls the media, then kind of like here in America, they control the elections and they'll control the narrative.
Well, and the problem is that the Iranians have shut down the internet. So not only do they have state media, but they've also shut down the internet, and they've even jammed signals to and from Starlink. So even the people that might have a Starlink connection. Say again?
How do they have a fair election then if they don't really have any opportunity to even know about who all is running?
Fair elections in Iran?
No, I'm talking about the future.
Down the road.
Yeah, down the road. I mean, how are we going to be able to guarantee a regime change of some sort?
Obviously, whoever takes over would open up the media. I mean, you can't have state-controlled media that's all one-sided. I mean, that's part of the revolution. But the first part is getting rid of the leadership. Now, we've cut off the head of the snake, but it's like a hydra. They're growing back, okay? There's lots of them. So we got to continue eliminating them as they pop their heads up. We need to take them out. But eventually, the Iranian people need to rise up and do the dirty work themselves. And as I said, we should have done this in January when they were motivated. Right now, they're kind of scared, not to mention
A
tens of
month late.
thousands are probably dead as a result. So the super hardcore people, well, they're not alive to do it. But that's how it needs to happen, is that people need to rise up, hopefully with the help of the Iranian army, not the IRGC. As I said earlier, they're completely different organizations, but the Iranian army, because you got to have some security force, okay? And it can't be the
Right.
IRGC because they're nuts. They're the true believers that are defending the regime. They're defending the revolution. So the security forces need to be consisting of the Iranian army. Who's it going to be? I
We
don't
don't
know.
know.
But hopefully the CIA has thought that ahead and has at least something in mind there.
Yeah, but that's the scary part is the CIA picking the next leaders. I mean, regime change is great, but we want to make sure it's going the right direction. So, I mean, I think we need to have a little bit more of a hands-on approach as far as, picking or helping decide or some sort of massaging
I think
of the meat.
whoever it is, Greg, we go to them. Even if we don't pick them, we go to them and we say, there's only one reason you're in charge. And that's because we bombed the shit out of your country and got rid of the mad mullahs. You are now our ally. And I believe that that alone will be a reason to ally with us. Not to mention, we drop sanctions if they meet certain criteria. We establish trade relations with them if they meet certain criteria.
Right.
We have a lot of ways other than the military and other than the CIA to pick their leadership. We just need to do it.
Exactly, and that's the biggest thing is that is it all going to be handled by Trump, or is it Congress going to be doing this, or is it going
Well,
to
it's not
be
going to be
done by
Congress.
the? I
No,
mean,
no, it's going to be the
exactly.
administration. I mean, that's who
That's my
handles
point.
foreign
Yeah.
policy. It's not that Congress has no say in foreign policy. Of course they do, and they have say in trade and tariffs and
Right.
things like
Yeah.
that. But no, the administration establishes foreign policy. I mean, that's Civics 101.
Well, yeah, I know that, but well, I guess my point here is that I mean, how much are they going to try to limit him at this level here, and how much are they going to
You talking
try
about how much is
blocking him?
Congress going to try to limit him?
Exactly. Yeah.
Other than the purse strings, what can they do? The president gets to decide whether or not we have
Well, I
normalized
know that.
relations. The president gets to decide whether or not we have diplomatic staff, whether or not we have an ambassador.
The
Now, the
president should
ambassador
be
would be
saying a
subject
lot
to
of
Senate
things, but the
confirmation,
Congress and
but
Supreme Court keep disagreeing with him on everything. Keep trying to
not
block him
on
on
that they
everything.
don't. That is very clear, black and white. The
Well, I know
foreign
that.
policy of the United States is established by the executive branch,
Right.
period.
That's the way it needs to be. Because I just have I don't put anything past these guys that are trying to stop anything to hurt America. I mean, it's kind of weird they keep saying that America first is like a propaganda or a BS thing here for or a racist terminology by the Trump campaign when it's supposed to be kind of like the sign behind me. You stand for the national anthem. Everybody's supposed to be putting America first. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, did you watch the State of the Union address last Tuesday?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
All right. Well, so you say everybody's supposed to put America first. Well,
they're
apparently
supposed to,
the
but they
Democrats
don't.
in Congress don't. That was a brilliant moment in
It
that
was.
speech. Now, a lot of the speech I thought was rambling and, whatever. I mean, I'm not a fan.
It's
But
hyperbole.
that particular part, stand up if you believe that the
Mm-hmm.
priority of the American government should be to put the American people first, and then not a single Democrat stood
Exactly.
up. That right there tells you all you need to know about the demon rats in Congress. They don't put America first.
The reality
And
is,
that
if Bill
is,
Clinton said
and
that,
they're
Republicans
traitorous
would
to this country
exactly.
because of that.
If Bill Clinton would have said that when he was president, Republicans would have stood. When Obama said that, Republicans would have stood. When George W. Bush said that, Democrats stood. Whenever H.W. Bush or Reagan or any other president said that, I mean, basically it's the opposite day with Trump. I mean, no matter what he does, they just want to do the entire opposite of. And that's actually exposes the whole brilliance of the speech, is that he put him on such a strong defensive, saying that basically they're wanting to die on the hill of illegal aliens. They're wanting to die on the hill of protecting pedophiles. Now they're willing to die on the hill of supporting terrorism. I mean, it's just pretty pathetic.
Yeah. Democrats hate Donald Trump more than they love America. And that's a problem.
Yeah, and this is a re-election year for that too.
Well, I'm not optimistic for the Republican chances. Unless things really
Well,
change between now and November, I think we're going to see a bloodbath on the Republican
right. You
side.
think so?
And the red that we see leaving Washington, D.C., it's going to be blood and Republicans.
Yeah, but I just don't really see how anybody in their good conscience could vote for Democrats knowing that they support all
Well, of
this.
course you don't. You're reasonable. You're informed. You're not an idiot. But half the
Thank you.
country is uninformed, and they are idiots. And they vote for Democrats. And remember, you don't need
Yeah.
100% of the vote. You need
You're saying
50% plus 1.
51 plus 1, I know. They can cheat it out, I guess. They figured out the cheating pretty good.
Well, we'll see if the SAVE Act gets passed. And the
Yeah,
problem with that is, now here's the problem with that. The SAVE Act is 100% constitutional,
it
okay?
is.
The problem is if you get a district court judge in some left-wing district, and he's a lefty judge, he puts a hold on it, right, an injunction, and by the time it gets to the Supreme Court, it's too late to use for
Exactly.
this election. So we still need to pass it, but
It just
it's not
probably won't
going
be
to
enforced
be
until
the
2028.
be all and end all. It's not going to solve all the problems.
And I don't think it's going to be in place for 2026 anyway. It'll be in place for 2028. By the
Well, but
time
only
it
because
gets through all the
no, wait
court
a minute.
system,
If it passes this month, it'll be in place for
it
2026.
will
The
until the
problem is
courts
the
put it on
courts will
hold.
stop it.
Exactly, they will. The courts will stop it. Supreme Court will put it on hold. They want to take a look at it and blah, blah, blah. And everything will be in a helter-skelter here until 2028.
Right. But look, it needs to be in place
It
regardless.
should be, yeah.
It should be in place all the time. How on earth
Definitely needs to.
anybody can say they don't want a law that limits voting to U.S. citizens?
I know. I have no idea how that's even conscionable.
Well, you know what? There are several blue cities that do allow known illegal immigrants to vote for local
No
offices.
fraud.
Can't do it. No, I'm not talking about fraud. I'm not
Well,
talking
it's
about fraud.
fraud.
They're legally allowed to vote.
Well, I know
There
that.
are
And it's
Democrat
legal
cities that
fraud.
allow illegal aliens,
Mhm.
non-citizens, to vote in school board and city and county
Exactly.
elections.
Mm.
Knowingly. I mean, that's not fraud. That's not, just not paying attention and loosey-goosey. The law allows illegals to vote
Without
in
an ID.
local elections in some blue cities.
Yeah, with no ID. So you really have no idea what their voter ID is because they have no ID. And since they're not, registered citizens, they can't be really registered voters with a real ID. You have no idea how many times they registered. Really?
Well, that's true. You don't
know?
need an ID to vote, but you do need an ID to shovel snow in New York. Two
You
IDs
do,
actually to shovel snow in New York.
exactly. The hypocrisy of the Democrats and the hypocrisy of the left is on a high level now. And now they want to do this war powers meeting this week, and where they want to limit Trump's ability to commit war against terrorists. They want to. I mean, imagine if Saddam Hussein and 9/11 if they were out there supporting all of that. Imagine that.
Well, if you recall,
Well, if you did.
No, I mean, if you recall, those votes were pretty close. Now, the 9/11
It
one
was.
wasn't. That was overwhelming.
No.
If memory serves me, I think there was one vote against it in each chamber after 9/11. But the Iraq resolution in 91 under George H.W. Bush and the resolution in 2002 under
Pretty close.
George W. Bush, those were close, very close. In fact, my recollection is that Senator Al Gore sold his vote no, I'm serious. You're kind of smiling, but look it up. This is actual historical fact. He sold his vote in exchange for a primetime slot to speak in the chambers explaining why.
Wow.
That he said, I'm voting against it unless you give me this primetime slot. And so they gave it to him. And so he got this primetime exposure where he explained why he was voting yes, and he voted yes, but he sold it in exchange for media attention. That's a fact. No, it's
just so pathetic. It's just so sad and pathetic. I mean, the reality here is that, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Senator Fetterman, I'm very proud of that one Democrat who's coming on board.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but he does seem sane in at least a few places, and that's one of them, sure.
Yeah, he does. I don't see too many other Democrats coming on board with supporting this. They seem to be, once again, following party lines of just, anything opposite Trump and anything opposite American freedom. Now, if Obama had done this, I would have been very happy about it.
You have Republicans that won't run the play called by the quarterback also, though. You've got Rand Paul in the Senate.
You got Rand Paul and Thomas
Congressman Massey in the House. And both from Kentucky, interestingly. What do they got in the bluegrass state? Now, look, I have a lot of respect for Massey, and I have a lot of respect for Rand Paul. I love them both. However, that doesn't mean they're always right.
No, they're not.
And in this instance, they're not, because both of them have come out and said that this is an illegal war, that Trump doesn't have the authority to do that. And that's complete nonsense. And they both are very well versed in the Constitution. You would think they would know that he does have it. So I question their motives on this. Are they that badly interpreting the Constitution? or are they doing this for some other reason? I don't know. But the Republicans have their own problems there. It's not going to be unanimous
Well, yeah, I
on the
know it.
Republican side. It's just not going to be
Exactly.
2/3. And so the president's going to be able to continue to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to
And
be
I
any
hope he
way to
does,
override it.
but only if he does it all the way to regime change. If he stops
Exactly. If he
anything
stops
before
anywhere
that, then
close.
the entire thing was a waste and he shouldn't have launched the first missile.
Right. And that's the whole thing. I mean, this thing has to be done all the way through, kind of like Venezuela is being done all the way through. And all the other countries that he helped put together, and all the other peace treaties that he's been a part of over the last year or so, they all went all the way through. So this one needs to be following the same suit that all of those did, and we did not need to be playing games, period, at all.
Agreed.
But yeah, well, I think that's going to wrap it up here today. Thanks so much for joining me here on this breaking news issue here of the Political Matrix News. And I
All
like your
right.
beard
Well,
you got growing on there.
yeah, I had surgery last week and I was in the hospital and didn't shave. And I'm like, well, the first 10 days are always the worst, right? So I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I might as well let it go. Let it go, let it grow. So I've started a beard.
Exactly. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for joining me tonight here. And you guys try to find us on your social media platform of choice and stay tuned.